All right, David, you ready?
I'm ready, Ben.
All right.
Who got the truth? Is it you? Is it you? Is it you? Who got the truth now? Is it you? Is it you? Is it you? Sit me down, say it straight. Another story on the way. Who got the truth?
Welcome to episode 3 of Acquired. This is the one where we talk about Twitch. Today we're going to try something a little bit different. We've been listening to our listeners and getting a lot of feedback that not only do David and I agree too much, but we're doing softballs. And,
Feedback is a gift, Ben.
Yeah, thank you. We really like hearing from everyone. And, while originally our goal was to set out and only review the super stellar, spectacular ones that only went super well and what we can learn from those, it's a little boring.
People are telling us they want some spice.
Yeah. So we're going to do, obviously, Twitch has been a little bit more recent. It's a 2014 acquisition, and here recording in November of 2015. And there's still a lot of open questions. And I think, people are generally positive and optimistic, and there's a exploding market there, but a lot more to talk about.
Whole lot to talk about. As always, thank you everyone for the reviews, for the feedback. You can check out our website at acquired.fm. We're on Twitter at acquiredfm. And please keep the feedback coming.
All right, listeners. Now is a great time to talk about a new partner of ours here on Acquired, Legora, the agentic operating system that is redefining how the world's best legal teams work.
Yep, it's sort of obvious that AI is going to completely change the legal industry. I bet most of you listening have dropped a contract into some sort of AI chatbot out there. Legora took that insight and asked the question, what if you really built something with that power from the ground up for the legal industry?
So the founders did exactly what great founders do, operate with obsessive customer focus. They embedded inside a massive law firm for months. They sat with the lawyers just watching how the work really gets done.
And that's how you get features that customers love, like Tabular Review, where you drop in a folder of hundreds of contracts and it pulls every key term into a grid a lawyer can actually work with. Legora's bet here is interesting. Since it lets each lawyer handle more complexity, any given person can increase the quality of their work and do higher value work. And this means that the pie can grow even as each individual task takes less time.
And they recently launched Legora Agent, offering greater intelligence and performance. The agent lets lawyers set an objective. Then it can handle the planning and the execution and delivery of the final product. Legal teams get to maintain full control and transparency since they're still involved where judgment is required.
And Legora works where you already work. You can use it within Microsoft Word while redlining or drafting. The early Legora numbers essentially speak for themselves. When they have a head-to-head pilot with their top competitor, they win 70% of the time. Legora now has over 100,000 lawyers on the platform from 1,200 legal teams in 50 countries. And crazily, they went from 1 million to 100 million in ARR in about 18 months.
Truly insane numbers. And that is the real test. Plenty of things demo well, but the question is whether a busy associate actually reaches for it during crunch time, or whether a partner trusts it before going into a conversation with a major client. If your legal team wants to check it out, whether you're a law firm or you're in-house at a company, you can learn more at legora.com/acquired and just tell them that Ben and David sent you.
So we're changing locations a little bit tonight. We are in the wonderful den of David's home. Here on the creative and secure SSID of Default 2.
We're really creative in the Scholich Rosenthal household.
Yes. So thank you so much for your generous hospitality, David and Jenny.
Always happy to, Ben. And you listeners as well.
All right, let's get on with it.
Let's jump into it. So, right about, 14 months ago, there had been acquisition rumors swirling about a young 3-year-old live streaming network, primarily used for streaming games, called Twitch.tv.
Which itself has a crazy history.
Crazy history.
If you were watching either of the previous incarnations of this company, you wouldn't have seen this end coming.
And the incarnations being first Justin.tv, which I believe was one of the first Y Combinator companies. Am I right there?
Yeah, I don't know what batch. One of the early ones.
It was like 2007, I think.
Justin TV is this incredible, before smartphones, before smartphones got big anyway, kind of before GoPro and all that. Justin Kahn strapped a camera to himself and broadcast what he was doing all the time, 24/7. Ended up going through Y Combinator with the crazy.
It's hard to overstate how crazy that was in 2007. This is like either pre-iPhone or like right when the first iPhone came out. And the idea that you would stream your life 24/7 on the internet. Yeah, YouTube was already out there, but that was recorded video live. I mean, this was a crazy concept.
Yeah.
And ultimately it didn't work.
No, even when they got a little bit, became a platform where anyone could stream anything live. There were competitors. There was Ustream. What was the other big one? This was sort of an era where there were platforms coming up. This is classic build the platform before the use case, where there's platforms coming up for people to stream whatever they wanted live. There was incredible amounts of piracy, a whole bunch of seedy stuff, and there wasn't a clear winner yet for what the thing was that was going to win in live streaming and what the purpose of it was.
Yep. So that was 2007. Fast forward a couple years, total fail. Didn't work. Instagram, which we talked about on our last show, had happened, was not yet acquired by Facebook, but was a thing. And Justin TV is still kicking along. And what do? They work on a new pivot, spin off this company called Social Cam.
Yeah.
You remember Social Cam, Ben?
Interesting. Yeah. And that was kind of funny because that was, actually, I think they launched at South by Southwest because I was down there and that was where I first saw a whole bunch of the marketing for it. Now, it was a super cool concept. I think that was in parallel. I think that Justin TV was still running at that time. And
yeah, I think that might have been right.
It's like some employees left Justin TV, or maybe it was under the same umbrella company. And I think it was.
And we should say, and Social Cam being, this is one of those things that, like, as VCs, we often hate this for that companies, although sometimes they work. But in this case, Instagram for video, quote unquote, not a thing, or at least not a thing at that point in time.
Yeah, great idea though. I mean, I think that there's a nugget there, and it was actually one of the most well designed kind of consumer apps that had launched around that era.
Yep.
I remember thinking that, boy, there's a killer team behind this. Seems highly reputable. They're really touching on a very human nerve here, but much like Justin TV, never found wide consumer adoption.
Well, and it's interesting. It got wide adoption this was the era of the Facebook steroid era. This is like the baseball steroid era of, the 90s, when before Facebook went public, and anyone who could figure out how to leverage the Facebook graph and get adoption on mobile apps and websites.
Were they one of those companies that stole the graph?
They stole the graph. And so crazy, Social Cam spins out from Justin.tv in 2011, ends up getting acquired less than a year later by Autodesk. Autodesk, Ben, acquires Social Cam for $60 million. Crazy. Vidi, which was another one that did the same thing. I don't know what ended up happening to them. They petered out. Maybe they got acquired by somebody. Anyway, that was chapter 2 of this company. Then chapter 3, right around that same time, is Twitch.
And Twitch, for anyone who's not a gamer out there, I actually was looking into a little bit today, kind of where the name comes from, and because it has a certain feel to it. And you go to the site, and it's purple, and it's got definitely the kind of gamer vibe, and it attracts a pro gamer audience and that sort of archetype. And Twitch gameplay is a reference to, that there are games that are much more strategy based, and there are games that are kind of turn based.
Fast Twitch.
Yeah. So Twitch gameplay refers to any game where you have to very quickly move the mouse around the screen. And, if it's a first person shooter or something, and you got to get one guy, quickly move over, get the other guy, quickly move over. And it's kind of like, it's a touch and finesse and moving very quickly to do very physical actions rather than a slower kind of strategy game.
Yep. And so Twitch was a dedicated streaming platform for streaming yourself playing video games on your computer.
Which, I think most of our
not
listeners,
was,
or
is.
some of our listeners, I can't really guess the percent, but a lot of people today understand how big Twitch is and understand how big
increasingly
the esports, universe is. And
gaming is itself. I mean, coincided around this time with the development in the gaming industry of MOBAs and things like League of Legends and Dota and basically games becoming services and products that could live on and develop these huge audience. But, in the past, before about this time, games would be, packaged software that you'd buy on a disc and you'd stick in your console or your PC and you'd play it by yourself and you'd have an experience. Maybe you'd play it for 100 hours and then you beat it and you're done. But now, at this time, games started becoming living, breathing services. World of Warcraft was the first example of this, but then it's just completely come to revolutionize the whole industry, this model. And so now you have games that just live on and on as experiences.
The weekly reset. It's incredible to see, with or the weekly or monthly. Hearthstone has the monthly reset.
Yep.
Journey year 1, year 2. I mean, it's a whole different model.
Yep. And
it's so funny thinking about sort of the old ones. If you'd have told me in 2009 that a company be acquired for $1 billion that let people watch other people play video games, I'd call you crazy. I mean,
it's almost as if in 2007 when the iPhone came out, somebody would have told you that what did we just say? Was it 11 people working for Instagram when it was acquired, or something? 11, 12, 13, something like that.
In the teens. That
a company with number of employees in the teens that made an app, whatever that was, for this smartphone would get acquired by Facebook for $1 billion in 2012. You'd have thought they were crazy.
Yeah, and it's interesting how it reflects a lot on the tenacity of the Justin TV team. I mean, I think that they touched on something where they probably, they obviously didn't know what the use case that would hit was of live streaming, but they had a sense around live streaming. And at Pioneer Square Labs, one of the things that we do is like, we don't really trust our gut until we prototype stuff and until we get feedback and see what sort of catches on. And I think that it really goes to show you don't know. And they were seeing on Justin TV a lot of people using it for gaming purposes, which is why they kind of decided to open Twitch as a dedicated. I think they spent some time where there were several months where they were just working on Twitch, not improving Justin TV, reopened Twitch to the public. And it goes to show you don't really know what's going to stick until you start watching usage patterns of how people are using your stuff.
Totally. So let's get into the topic of the show, which is an acquisition. So to start that off, I don't think we've actually said the actual facts. August 25th, 2014, acquisition rumors have been swirling about Twitch for months. People think Google and YouTube are about to buy the company.
Makes sense to me.
Makes a lot of sense. YouTube, number one, video platform online, thinking about getting into streaming and live video becoming more of a thing. And of course, it makes sense that this would be a great channel on YouTube. August 25th, announcement drops. Amazon buying Twitch, $970 million in cash. By the way, who could have foreseen this? Huge strategic error by the Twitch management team and board. Not negotiating for stock here. So, Amazon closing share price on August 25th, 2014, $334.02. Amazon closing share price today, 14 months later, $665.60.
It would be a win if I actually owned a property here in Seattle. It's a shame I'm still renting.
All right, listeners, now is a great time to tell you about a longtime friend of the show, Vanta. AI has scrambled the whole security picture. It used to be that you proved that you were secure once a year, an audit or a static PDF, then everyone would nod and you're done. But in an AI-first world, that doesn't hold up anymore.
Yep, your risk surface changes every week now. A vendor turns on an AI feature or someone writes in a new model without telling IT, and your posture is different than it was last week, let alone at your last audit. Vanta's own research found that around 70% of companies have this quote unquote shadow AI running with no security review at all.
Right. And that's where Vanta comes in. They're the leading agentic trust platform, meaning they've built the thing that closes the gap. And the way that they close that gap is Vanta Agent. Think of it as a GRC engineer, that's governance, risk, and compliance, except that it's software and it doesn't sleep. It finds the issues, drafts the fixes, and cuts the time that you'd spend on vendor assessments in half.
In half, which is exactly why more than 16,000 companies today run on Vanta. Companies like Ramp, Cursor, and Snowflake all stay audit ready and catch the risks that crop up between audits across every vendor, every AI tool, the whole environment.
And that's the real value. Trust has to be continuous now, which is why Vanta automates your security, your compliance, and the work to earn and prove trust. We're huge fans of Vanta over here, and literally hundreds of acquired listeners have become Vanta customers at their companies over the years. So you can get $1,000 off Vanta at vanta.com/acquired. That's VANTA.com/acquired for $1,000 off. And just tell them that Ben and David sent you.
You just mentioned something about not negotiating for stock. Do we know that this was an all cash?
It was an all cash deal. It was an all cash deal.
So that's what $1 billion in cash looks like.
Could have been $2 billion. But that's a technical detail. Everybody was still happy in the moment and probably still. However, Twitch has continued post-acquisition to just grow like a rocket ship. So when Twitch was acquired, I believe they had about 55 million monthly unique viewers. Mm-hmm. That was in August 2014. They announced in January 2015 that they passed 100 million unique monthly viewers. They haven't announced any stats since then, so that's the latest we have, but that was 10 months ago.
Which is, thinking about in the context of the last, acquisition we talked about, or I guess it's, last one, Instagram, celebrating now years after the acquisition, hitting 400 million monthly active users. Now, these visitors are not necessarily logged in, but I guess they're probably tracked by IP address or something, so they know exactly, how to...
Just like any web property.
Not count repeat sessions, but 100 million monthly active visitors, it's crazy. I mean, it's got to be like the demographics are wider spanning than this, but like every teenage boy in America.
Not America. I think this is one of the key things about Twitch too.
Yeah.
Like, it's America, but like that's only a small part of it. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Around the whole world.
South Korea is the kind of the hub of a lot of these tournaments right now, right?
Capital of the world, yeah. Professional gaming capital of the world, and it's a pretty amazing platform. So one of the other really cool things I think about Twitch, unlike a lot of
there's one other stat to throw in there. 1.5 million broadcasters. So that's actually a little bit above, but it's always interesting to think about, the adage that for every, 100, in the Reddit terminology, 100 lurkers you have one poster or one content creator.
And that ratio roughly holds here.
Roughly, yeah.
One of the things I think is particularly interesting about Twitch as a internet and digital media property is that it's got a really robust and diverse monetization strategy, and has for much of its life. So
would you call it a three-pronged approach?
You could call it a three-pronged approach. And it's interesting, it could easily be a four-pronged approach if Twitch, eventually they will get their act together. But basically, for our viewers who don't know, Twitch makes money in three ways today. They have advertising that they sell on the site.
Yeah, for anyone who's visited Twitch and knows, you get about 3 seconds of gameplay before you have something really abrasive thrown in your face.
Very abrasive. Not to mention all the takeover ads and banner ads all over the site. And then they have Twitch Turbo, which is basically a $8.99 a month subscription that you can pay to get rid of that advertising on Twitch.
It's true. And you get, there's a variety of other things. You can have, colors of your text and custom emojis and a badge and a lot of the sort of gamified and virtual goods. But like, that's a lot of money just to remove ads from one website.
Yep. It's a lot of money. You're
mean,
talking
that's more-
$100 a year
That's more than Netflix to simply remove ads.
from one website on the internet.
Or Spotify, or I mean, I guess on a family plan, Spotify,
Yep.
but yeah.
Then I think this is just brilliant. The other half of Twitch's business model comes from revenue shares with their broadcasters, which are referred to as streamers, in the form of subscriptions. They make it really easy with just a button on the site, on the page of a streamer, to quote subscribe to that streamer for $5 a month. And then Twitch keeps half of that, $2.50 a month. Half.
This blows my mind. Thinking about like marketplace businesses where you can take a 15% take or a 20% take, or you look at like the real estate business where you can get like, or Airbnb has a 6% take, with 3% on each side.
It's like 12 to 14%, but still.
Okay, but 50%.
Yeah, 50%.
So their Twitch is getting away with murder.
Basically getting away with murder. And then let's just run through some of the stats here. So this is some numbers that are publicly available on the internet. We'll do some back of the envelope math here. There are about 100 million Twitch viewers out there. They announced that in January, 100 million unique viewers. Mm-hmm. Roughly the conversion rate on viewers to subscribers is about 1%. And we know this from a few Twitch streamers have openly talked about and quote open sourced their economics.
So can we assume there's like a million-ish?
So you can assume there's about a million-ish subscribers. They're paying $5 a month.
Subscribers or subscriptions?
I'm assuming subscriptions.
Okay.
So there probably are fewer than that who actually subscribe, but they might subscribe to multiple channels.
If this is sample data based on an individual...
This is one individual streamer, the percentage of people that watch his channel to convert. So I think it would be actual subscriptions on the site.
It could be higher. So if it's 1% of his viewers subscribe, it's likely that, or it's possible that that viewer also subscribes to a different channel too. I don't know what the behavior is. It's probably not, 2. It might be 1 point something, but yeah.
We're keeping the numbers simple here. Sure. So, all right, 1 million subscriptions, let's assume on Twitch at $5 a month. And at a 50% revenue share to Twitch, that's $30 million a year. In basically 100% margin. I guess Twitch is paying credit card fees out of that. So take double it because they're only taking half of the revenue share. So they're paying credit card processing fees on the whole. So take 6% out of that. But so 95% margin.
Not margin, that'd be their take, right? Because like their margin, we're not figuring in, AWS costs or.
But this is just complete. They're still monetizing in other ways through advertising and Turbo. This is just like purely incremental marginal profit.
Yeah. It's true. It costs
to
them
Twitch.
No additional.
Literally no additional, except for credit card processing fees and putting a little purple button that says subscribe on their site. And I'm sure there's some engineering costs there too, but incremental margin.
What are you talking about? It's one line of code.
Yeah. Not to mention synergies with AWS. It's pretty incredible. And then this might end up being the biggest form of monetization for Twitch in the long term is tips. So there is this behavior that's emerged on the Twitch platform, where Twitch doesn't enable this at all. Streamers are hacking this together with third-party software where as they're streaming and speaking to their fans and their viewers as they're streaming the games they're playing, they'll solicit tips just like a street performer would. They've got a tip jar, and they're using third-party plugins to do this, and people are paying them like an incredible amounts of money. So streamers people have given. It's just like the mobile games business, people, they're whales that have given like $1,000 tips, $10,000 tips like at once. And right now Twitch isn't monetizing any of this, but you got to imagine they are planning to bake this natively into the platform and take a cut out of this.
I'm trying to imagine a scenario where something happens that's awesome enough in some gameplay that I'm watching where I decide it's worth $1,000. Like,
There are people that spend thousands of dollars on Clash of Clans, Ben.
yeah, but
This is differential pricing for entertainment.
I'd argue, but I know some, so it's
I know, scary. All right. Basically, I think the punchline of this discussion here is Twitch has very quickly, remember, this whole business, even though it was a spin out from Justin TV, was started in 2011.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, we say spin
It's
out.
4 years old.
You would think in all of this, pivoting around and changing companies and spinning out other companies that this gets extremely expensive. And, a lot of times, like, you look at like a Jawbone or any of these companies that take like a Series E and F round and get into the private equity and, that sort of thing, that they take huge sums of money. Mm-hmm. They only took 3 rounds of funding and it was only $42 million. So
I vividly remember. I can.
they kept it. $42 million is a lot of money, but they kept it relatively cheap considering the outcome.
I think I can talk about that. I won't use any numbers or names, but when I was in business school, I interned the summer between my first and second years at one of the top, a really, really amazing venture capital firm called Meritech, and they're a late stage venture capital firm. They only do late stage investments, and it was late spring, and I had already lined up my internship. I was going to spend the summer with them, and I got a call from one of the partners there and said, "Hey, I'm looking at this deal for a company that's raising money. The company's called Twitch. Have you ever heard of it? Do you know anything about it?" And I didn't know anything about it. And I looked at it, did a bunch of research, and, being a eager, soon to be intern to impress, I thought, I'm going to do some research. I'm going to write up some thoughts, help them look at this, even though I haven't started working yet. I really can't wait to dive in. And I just looked at the space and I thought, there's no way this is like, it's interesting what's happening here, but there's just no way this is going to be big. I mean, this is like a derivative of a sector of the economy that itself is like not that big in gaming, right? Like, it can't be that big. And the valuation they wanted for this round was, at the time, seemed like a very large valuation. It was much less than the eventual acquisition price. And so I wrote a long email. I remember I was Jenny and I, my wife Jenny and I, were in Sonoma for the weekend for a business school trip. And I spent a bunch of the weekend writing up these thoughts, in this memo, sent it to the partner. Basically, can't recommend we do this. And this goes to show you, I have so many stories like this.
Wait, what?
Venture capital is a humbling business.
What company name were you not going to say there?
I wasn't going to talk about any of the numbers. Or anything.
Yeah, okay.
But suffice to say, had Meritech invested in Twitch in this round that happened, and I forget who did lead the round, but it would have been a very nice return. Yeah. But what's interesting, it would have been a very nice return, and especially as a late stage investor where you're trying to get a 3x return is a good return, a 5x return is a great return.
And you're talking total fund, like to
yeah, but actually as a late stage investor, it's on individual investments, because you're hoping that most of your investments you're going to get a good return on. You're taking
you're not
much less
investing
risk.
In 10,
Yep.
Assuming 9 will fail in one.
But what I think is amazing to think about this acquisition, when Twitch was acquired for $1 billion, even I hadn't thought much about Twitch since that summer. Thought, wow, I was wrong. Like, guess it did turn out to be a big company. But now look at Twitch a year later. $1 billion is pretty cheap.
Yeah, so this is the fun part of the show. I think there's one of the reasons we wanted to do this was because I think there's a lot of, first of all, easy numbers to look up and very, it's the same reason that gossip is fun conversation to have. It's because it's low-hanging fruit. Everyone can very clearly draw the dotted line. Everyone can laugh about it, and everyone can, romanticize and fantasize and wish they were picking that winner. And you see, oh my God, $42 million in funding going to $1 billion acquisition. Oh my God, I can do the math and know exactly how big that multiple is. And that conversation happens over and over and over again. And I think the thing that we just don't talk about that much is, great, $1 billion. So now, let's say Amazon's an individual person. Well, that person's now $1 billion in debt. How do you grow that investment? How do you get your money back and then some? and what are the kind of market forces and things going on within Amazon right now that actually make that fun to watch.
And we haven't, part of the rationale for wanting to do this episode too is we're here in Seattle, and Amazon is one of the most impressive New York Times articles about the company and workplace culture there notwithstanding, one of the most impressive and greatest technology companies, not only of our time, but probably ever. I mean, the innovation that is driven within that company is just incredible, and that continues to be driven. And the company's $100 billion revenue run rate and still innovating like a tiny startup, which is amazing. And the impact that it's had on Seattle, on the ecosystem, physically on the city is just incredible. So we really wanted to have an excuse to talk about Amazon. We haven't really talked about Amazon yet. But what's amazing, they've left Twitch pretty much alone.
Yeah, we saw something launch a couple weeks ago, but you would think after something like this gets acquired, like, well, they'll take some of the video technology and make it available very quickly as a higher abstraction layer in AWS, or they'll start bucketing in some part of Twitch with Prime, or they'll, throw the Amazon bar on top, or did I do single sign-in yet? Can you log in with an Amazon?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. The first thing they launched was not a unification with the rest of Amazon's properties. It was Twitch Creative.
Yeah.
It was, they did this
Bob Ross.
super clever, marathon of watching Bob Ross paint to kick off. You can watch creative people perform their craft, while they're live streaming it, like you would watch anybody do their game while they're live streaming it. And, too soon to really know anything about that, but it really interesting how the company did indeed largely leave it alone.
Yep. Over time, maybe we'll see them integrate it more into in some ways into Amazon. I think about when we were talking about Instagram in our last episode and how Instagram also has been largely left alone by Facebook. However, behind the scenes, we talked about ad buying and how Facebook's been very open, especially on their earnings calls, with about how successful selling joint ad buys to advertisers between Facebook and Instagram has been. And it's interesting, we talked about some of the direct monetization aspects that Twitch has, but advertising still, by all estimates, we don't really know, but by all estimates, is probably the biggest revenue stream for Twitch. And Amazon, a lot of people don't know this, but has a very big advertising business.
Yep.
And you can imagine, Amazon has a big advertising business, especially to companies trying to sell products on Amazon. A lot of video game companies, both console manufacturers, PC, gaming accessory manufacturers, and games themselves advertise and sell on Amazon. They also advertise on Twitch. You could imagine that being a synergy in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really interesting business for Amazon, because one of the things that they're able to do, by having that ad network and letting you view products on other sites, and that that little iframed advertisement that you see for an Amazon.com product or any other thing that they're using to on their ad network, is they get a good picture of what websites you shop on. So it's or even just visit. So if you come to Amazon.com, they can use that in aggregate with your purchase history, or if you're not a signed in user, to just understand sort of what sites you've been visiting and what sort of things you're going to buy.
Yep.
If having Twitch as a first party property and integrating some of that ad technology with the large advertising business that is Twitch, there's a lot of potential.
And let's think about where Twitch is going now and might be going in the future with Twitch Creative, potentially other channels. These are all, let's take Creative, for example, painting, digital creative tools. These are all areas that they're very natural advertising opportunities and very natural product selling opportunities. Could imagine integrations with Amazon on that front.
Yeah, on integrations with Amazon, there's two kind of points I want to bring up. Looking back at old posts from the Justin TV folks in the early days, I think they had started on AWS, moved off for, at the time, what was what was cost reasons and customization reasons. I think they just needed a little bit more granular control with their whole streaming video stack. But then, at least by some point between 2012 and 2014, had pretty much wholly moved back onto AWS. So being acquired by the very company that powers your entire technology platform, I mean, that's there's a lot of
Is this a harbinger
margin there,
of things to come? That Amazon, you could say Amazon might have had a real window. For me, I worked in the venture capital business. I spent a lot of time thinking about tech, and Twitch was like totally under the radar screen for me. But Amazon with AWS, they kind of have this like dashboard into like what's actually hot among tech companies at all times. Like, did they see this and say like, gosh, Twitch is undervalued, we should buy it because we have the data? I don't know. But again, back to the point we made earlier about the impact that Amazon has had on the entire tech ecosystem, but the huge impact here in Seattle. I mean, everybody here is, 0 degrees of separation away from Amazon in everything in this ecosystem here.
Yeah. So I can't second that enough. So the other point that I wanted to make on top of the fact that they're integrating with their technology stack in a very vertical way, is Prime. Prime looks an awful lot like Turbo.
Yeah.
I mean, Prime has become a mechanism where people buy almost 3 times the number of things on Amazon when they're a Prime subscriber, and it's an annual subscription fee that you pay upfront for later returns of many different things that you would have accrued over a long period of time.
Yep.
And boy, Turbo is a thing that you pay upfront at the beginning of the month that pays ahead of time for all the ads you would have seen. You have investment in the platform.
Historically, Amazon has made huge efforts to get young people in the form of students hooked on to Prime.
Oh, with students. I think first year free for students.
Yep. And
or maybe all years in school free.
What's the average age of a Twitch viewer? Or, it's I wouldn't call, I wouldn't call either of us old, but the average age of a Twitch viewer is definitely younger than both of us.
Oh, we're old, David.
Yeah, I mean, we are old. Let's face it. And you imagine someday soon, Turbo becomes Prime and is part of Amazon Prime, and then you've just hooked new generation on Amazon Prime.
Sure is a compelling value prop. I could pay my, $8 or $9 a month for Turbo.
Or I could pay $99 a year for Amazon Prime and get Turbo plus everything else in Prime.
All those videos, all that free shipping.
Yep.
Yeah.
Drones dropping things off at your doorstep.
Not to be speculative.
No, nothing they haven't announced.
All right, listeners. Now is a great time to thank our longtime friend of the show, ServiceNow. If you are running a large enterprise, AI agents are likely spread across every team, and deploying them is no longer the hard part.
Yeah. The hard part is knowing what permissions they have, what employees are using them for, or what decisions AI is making. AI security for an enterprise at scale is not a small concern. Like, the risks are real.
Exactly. And the challenge with AI is governing it, securing it, measuring it, and making sure that it actually delivers value. That is why ServiceNow built the AI Control Tower.
Yep. AI Control Tower gives enterprises a single place to see, manage, govern, and optimize AI across the entire business. And it works with any AI, not just theirs. Every device on your network, every permission across every system, every AI agent visible and secure in one place.
And ServiceNow can do this because they've spent more than 20 years building the operational backbone of the enterprise, the workflows, governance, approvals, security controls, and institutional knowledge that power how work actually gets done across IT, HR, customer service, finance, and security.
ServiceNow already runs more than 100 billion workflows annually and trillions of transactions for more than 85% of the Fortune 500. So when companies need a place to govern AI at enterprise scale, they're building on a platform at the center of how their business already operates.
And in a future that isn't going to be one AI, it's going to be thousands of AI agents working across every function of the company. But the question is, who's managing them all?
So if you're trying to turn AI ambition into real business outcomes and make it work safely, securely, at scale, go check out servicenow.com/acquired and tell them that Ben and David sent you.
All right, so this section is the part where we talk about, does it fall in the category of people, technology, product, or business line, or is it another thing completely? This is a pretty good framework to sort of understand. I think we've talked about, the various reasons why they would do this acquisition, but to sort of give a framework for what buckets to drop certain things into, it's a good opportunity for David and I to disagree a little bit too. So, David, what do you think?
I'm a little torn here. Could be a product. However, I'm going to go business line because I think, especially thinking back to, I really think you're onto something with this Prime when we talk about the value of the acquisition and measuring its success. And again, being speculative here, but if you imagine the value to Prime here, which is one of the core parts of Amazon, Twitch adds a new layer of benefit to Prime. There was Prime Instant Video before, which you could argue is somewhat similar, but I think this is a different thing. That's like movies versus television, and this adds the television to Amazon's offerings and to Prime and what Prime subscribers get. So I think, and I really do think that this is gonna foreshadow what I'm going to talk about in the section I like. I think Twitch over time will be more than games. I think it will be a platform for watching live, watching people do things live on the internet, almost like Justin TV originally was formed for.
I know I said I was going to disagree, but I think that's the obvious correct choice. I'd say as a product, if it's something that was already sort of being integrated, but they're using this as a completely different channel to a completely different audience, and we're really not seeing kind of like I would call it more of a product acquisition if you could somehow get to Twitch from Amazon, but you just can't.
Yeah,
it's a completely different access to a completely new set of customers with a different business line, and one that, despite all the sort of integrations and synergy that we've talked about, I think it's a self-sustaining business, and we don't know that for sure. Amazon hasn't yet broken that out in earnings, but SuperData released this research report saying that the gaming video content market is worth $3.8 billion. That was earlier this year in 2015, and they're saying that Twitch is going to generate $1.6 billion of that revenue this year.
I think there's no way that can be right.
Even
but
if
still,
even if it's half of that. These research reports are always a little bit. Thank you for the folks at SuperData for doing this great research for us. But even if it's a third of that, right? Let's say it's $500 million. That's growing quickly. The deal price was only $1 billion. If it's not already, a profitable decision to purchase this company on its own without combining any of these other things, we're a year out.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen real fast. Okay, so my favorite segment that I want to make sure we keep is, what does this acquisition, what technology theme does this acquisition illustrate for you? One of the things Ben and I talk about a lot, and it's one of my favorite things to talk about, is these lasting themes in technology. Technology is a space that changes super quickly, but there are these themes that last generation to generation, and the idea that technology comes in waves, or scalability, all sorts of things, how fast things change. I've got some, Ben, if you have thoughts, go ahead, but I've got, I'll go first. For me, Twitch really illustrates this theme that I just love in technology, which is oftentimes things that end up being really, really big and world changing. When they start out, they look like a toy. And Twitch, this is like the definition of it looked like a toy in the beginning. When I was writing that memo, it looked like a toy to me. Video games. What's that? There's no way. Even if this wins that category, it's not that big. But I totally missed the boat that video games were themselves being transformed into something way bigger than they used to be. But B, video games were just the start for Twitch. And this is speculative here. It's still mostly video games, but I think Twitch Creative, again, foreshadows a future or presages a future where Twitch is about the original Justin TV vision, which was people doing things live on the internet, television on the internet, and live TV on the internet. And I just think this is such a great example of this was something so many people dismissed as small, as toy-like in the beginning, but has actually become really huge.
Yeah, so what you're sort of, to pattern match a little bit here, to hear what you're saying is that, you know, you're looking at something and you're aware of the incumbents and it looks sort of like a toy to you, and that can't possibly displace whatever the current thing you're using is because it's merely games, or it's just a little thing where people are watching other people play video games. What it sounds a lot like disruption theory. Like it sounds a lot like the Clayton Christensen sort of.
Well, I think the twist here is that I'm not sure even I don't know, but you could certainly imagine that even the Twitch founders and management team themselves wouldn't have envisioned this.
I'm not convinced they ever do.
Yeah. Or any more than I don't know if the Airbnb founders envisioned that one day, you know, Airbnb would have more hotel, you know, night stays in a single night than all the other hotel chains in the world like combined. I don't. If they're not there, they will be soon.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I think like if we are thinking of it in the context of disruption theory, and let's say it's like, you know, Google Docs sort of you know, scaring the heck out of Office. What's the incumbent? Like, what are they displacing here? Where
for Twitch?
It was a toy, and what's the thing they're displacing?
Television. Because it's, you know, what, I don't have the stat offhand, but it's something like the average Twitch user watches like 3 hours of Twitch a day.
It's insane. Yeah, I've got the stat.
Insane.
It's, 58% of Twitch users.
So that's 58 million people
that are tuning in at all during the day.
Yep.
It's not 58 because it's not
on a daily basis instead of a month. Okay. Still a lot of people.
Are watching for more than 3 hours. I mean, this is like once you pop the fun don't stop.
And that's
thing.
Love it. Speaking of television and commercials. And yeah, what does that sound like? That sounds like television, where people who watch television watch like on average 6 hours a day.
Yeah. Crazy.
Ben, what's your grade? Wait, so are we doing this grade today or grade in the future? Since this is a speculative episode.
Let's grade as if we are historians judging Jeff Bezos. So we're in the future. We are future historians tonight.
It's a weighty task.
Yeah. As a future historian looking back at Amazon, deciding if this was a good decision or not, and the dust is still settling. We have pluses and minuses, so I'm not going to A plus this, but I think it's an A. Even on the conservative basis of how this business line does alone, its payback period is incredibly short. It's going to be 2 years or less. It's hard to throw an exact number on that.
We don't know the numbers,
but exactly what it's
going to do well.
It's not a long payback period, and the ways that they're tying into all the existing parts of the business are, not evident yet, but there's a lot of potential
there. Prime customer acquisition.
And Amazon is so good at testing this stuff. It's just hard to imagine that they're going to screw that part up. I think that they have had some acquisitions where they did not do that well in the past, but I think that if we see them do kind of this Prime Turbo combination, or we see them leverage any of the ad technology sharing, or or even if it helps AWS's business grow and further develop their video platform for other people.
Yep.
I think that
they just bought Elemental Technologies, which is a video encoding
very
platform.
Clearly focused on building out the video platform.
Yep.
It's a solid A.
Okay, so here's again, we've been very I know we're looking for disagreement here. It's really hard to disagree with. If you if Twitch stays on the trajectory it's on, no doubt this like I really think this could be an Instagram style acquisition.
What would have to happen for it not to
Okay,
be?
so here's what I was going to go with.
Yeah.
And by Instagram style, I mean like as we talked about on the last show, Facebook buys Instagram for $1 billion. 2 years later, Citigroup puts out an equity research report on Facebook valuing Instagram at $35 billion within Facebook. I really think the same thing could happen here. Whether it'll be 2 years, I don't know, but in a short period of time. Here's how it could go wrong if we're thinking from the future. Amazon is incredibly strong at a lot of things. Amazon is also a company and a culture that is very monolithic. And the senior leaders at Amazon, the people who drive the business, make decisions every day, they're the same people. They've been in place for 10 plus years, all of them. Andy Jassy, who runs AWS, he's been at Amazon at least 15 years. Amazon itself is only 20 years old. Jeff Blackburn, Jeff Wilkie, all the senior people at Amazon. Jeff Bezos' quote S team. Now Twitch, very smartly, like Instagram, they've kept it totally independent. Emmett Shear, the CEO of Twitch, is still the quote CEO of Twitch. I was reading an interview with him and he says, "I'm not the SVP of the Twitch division at Amazon. I'm the CEO of Twitch." But Amazon hasn't done this before. We're up here in Seattle. This is not Silicon Valley. Twitch is in Silicon Valley. If at some point they decide to more deeply integrate this, make Twitch the Twitch division of Amazon, I think they could really lose a lot of the mojo here.
What you mean if it looks like IMDb or maybe sort of a little bit more like Audible or
Yeah, and like those the way if Twitch is going to stay on the growth trajectory it's on, it needs world-class people and world-class talent and people who are motivated. And typically the way you do that in technology companies and in Silicon Valley is with equity and with both literal equity and like metaphorical equity and ownership of the business.
Can I have metaphorical equity in this podcast?
Yeah, right. And Amazon's not a place that gives that to people, within core Amazon. It's like you're on the S team or you're not. So I think that's how they could mess it up. So far, they're making the right moves, but that's my doom and gloom scenario.
That didn't come with a letter.
Oh, yeah. Well, gosh, in that case, it would be, I don't know, B-. I mean, of course, it would still be great, but it would have been not realizing its potential. I don't think they're going to do that, though.
Yeah,
I think
you have to assign like a likelihood percentage to that screw up and then weight it.
They're doing all the right things so far.
Yeah. So we'll say mine's based on the non-doom and gloom perspective, which I think we both agree is the more likely path. But the kind of impressive thing there is B- even if they manage to kind of screw it up on a long-term integration, because it's going to return capital.
It seems obvious that they got a bargain here.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right.
Is that it?
The future will tell. Let us know what you think of this episode, the speculative nature, the more freeform nature. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Who got the truth? Is it you? Is it you? Is it you? Who got the truth now? Huh?
All right, listeners, now is a great time to talk about one of our favorite companies, Statsig.
Yes, long-time acquired partner. There is a reason why the best product teams at companies like OpenAI and Notion, Atlassian, Figma, Rippling, Brex, and more rely on Statsig, whether they are iterating on their core product features or shipping AI-powered experiences at scale.
Yep. In the crazy speed of today's AI world, shipping fast is just table stakes now. It's basically trivial to build and deploy your app constantly. The real advantage is how quickly you learn what changes actually created value for customers and how fast you can use that signal to guide what you ship next. Whether it's a feature tweak, a pricing change, a performance improvement, or an AI update like a model change or prompt adjustment, they're not relying on instinct. they're measuring what actually moved engagement, retention, and ultimately revenue. And as more teams build with AI, that learning loop becomes even more important. Building with LLMs introduces non-determinism into your product experience. The same input doesn't always produce the same output, and behavior can shift in subtle ways in real-world use.
So doing offline evals will give you part of the picture, but you can really only understand the impact once your product is live with real users, and then you can measure how their behavior actually changes. It's very different than the way that you would ship features in a pre-AI world where you knew exactly what the software was going to do in production.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is where StatSig comes in. It brings experimentation, feature flags, and product analytics into one unified system so teams can ship safely, test rigorously, and directly link what they changed to how users actually behaved. The result is a tighter feedback loop and learning that compounds over time, so you don't just ship more, you ship better.
So if you want to make learning your competitive advantage, whether you're building new AI experiences or just evolving your existing core product, go to statsig.com/acquired to get started.